It's Thursday again, tell everybody to lock in, grab some popcorn, a drink, and go and throw your AirPods in. It's the 1 hour show, constantly speaking facts. Bulletproof stats are always shooting from Matt. And when it comes to Kyle, you getting numbers and style. Jake is gonna educate you, he has that knowledge on file. Players, step your game up, don't be sluggish or lazy. Or Jimmy J might hit you with a shaky baby. Catch him on YouTube or any podcast platform. Breaking all the news down like Shaq does the backboards. No hot takes, this is where the hottest debate's at. Now kick your feet up, cause it's time for straight facts.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains, presented by the Up On Game Podcast Network. It's your boy, Jimmy J, with my guys, as always, Jake Galley, Kyle Sirik, and Stat Matt Robinson. I guess I shouldn't say always. I guess that's a little
recently.
It's a little misleading.
Always in spirit.
We've been full squatted.
I like that, always in spirit.
We've actually been pretty good full squatted up lately.
I like that. I mean, we have our best episodes when we're full squatted up.
And also, it's like everyone, like behind the scenes, like, you know, we all have a hand in getting this show put together. So, like, even if someone's not going to be here, it's not like we're not here.
Right.
So
right.
But and today is the hallmark of that. Peeling back the curtain a little bit, we needed all hands on deck to get this show underway. But as we do, we're here, and we're here to provide the facts for y'all, because there's a discussion that's popping off in the NBA that I think needs our expertise, fellas. It needs us. It needs all our opinions, our basketball minds, our facts to go into it. And that's the NBA MVP discussion. Because Jake is ready to blow the lid off this thing.
I'm trying to like prepare myself not to yell, because I will quickly get upset about this.
Well, we're going to get into that MVP discussion right now, because we really need to put our stamp on it. The NBA regular season concludes in less than 2 weeks. April 10th is the last game. As of yesterday, March 29th, an NBA media poll projected Jokic over Joel Embiid for the NBA MVP. Right now, Jokic is 26.3 points per game, 13 rebounds on 57% from the field, 34% from three. Embiid, 30 points per game, 11 rebounds, 49% from the field, 36% from three. You got to look way past the numbers when you're talking about these two for MVP, but it's a 1-2 race right now, right? For Jokic and Embiid for MVP. So I'm gonna start over there. We're gonna build up to Jake. I'm gonna start over there because Matt, give me your opening statement for who you believe MVP is.
This MVP is a two-man race.
Okay.
Between Joel Embiid and not Nikola Jokic, but Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow.
Nikola Jokic, he's happy with the bronze medal in the StatMat MVP rankings. Mm-hmm. He's a very good player. He gets all the nerd awards for all the stats that he leads in. But I think people forget that Giannis last year was like ineligible from the MVP race because of his playoff failures before last year. Because he was a two-time MVP. His stats didn't get any worse last year. Mm-hmm. He was back-to-back MVP. They flamed out in the playoffs. He got, set aside. He wins finals MVP. He is the best player in basketball. This year, he's 10-1 to win MVP, which I think is a sham. He's my MVP. I love Joel Embiid. He's my favorite Philadelphia athlete of my adult life, and it's not close.
Right.
But Giannis has the same points per game as him, more rebounds per game, more assists, more efficient, is just as good defensively. And he's gotten better at every step of the game. Right. He's shooting 42.1% from mid-range, which is really, really good.
I really hate to cut off this stat Matt rant, because he's really leading you guys into like our next segment.
That's better than Tatum's mid-range.
Beautifully leading us into our next segment. So I'm putting a pin into what you're saying, stat Matt.
I needed to get it out.
You needed to get it out. It was boiling to the surface. We're going to stick with Embiid Jokic for right now. There's a spot for exactly where that Giannis Antetokounmpo rant can and will come into. But let's stick with Jokic and Embiid right now. So, Kyle, give me your opening statement. If you to choose one of these guys for your MVP, give me your opening statement.
You're framing it like we're in court.
Yeah, I love it. Counselors, opening statement.
This is what I say. Nikola Jokic got it last year off stats, right? I think the team or the league probably, and fans were in agreement that it was probably Embiid's award before he got injured. So Jokic was up the same stats. Cool. It wasn't a dominant MVP season he had last year. He was given the award. He probably deserved it. Well, now your team's taking a step back. You've been a 3 seed year after year after year. You're a 6 seed. I don't really care about the stats anymore, right? You look at the games where Nikola Jokic has the most assists and the Nuggets lose. So that's cool that he can pass, right? That's great. But I want guys that can win basketball games, and a 6 seed MVP, especially to give him a back-to-back when his team got worse from the season before, doesn't really make sense to me. Now, last night, and I know you don't want me to bring up Giannis again, Giannis made a case over Embiid, and to really solidify this MVP, Embiid really had to come out and play hard last night. He played well.
He had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
But when Giannis gives you 40 in the Wells Fargo Center
and the game clinching play,
it's tough.
How about Mr. Harden doesn't brick another 3
off
I'm defending. I'm defending that Harden.
Harden was great last
night. I'm defending that Harden take.
The only thing about that is the one before Embiid took a terrible shot with 40 seconds left in the game, 14 seconds on the shot clock.
But that's like
terrible.
That's like you don't get into your action when you have Joel Embiid and James Harden on the strong side. And I don't want to get too much into last night's game because this is more of an overarching segment. But I'm watching that game. And in no scenario ever can you have Joel Embiid and James Harden on the strong side with 3 defenders looking at them and not come up with an action to get someone a backdoor, a flare look coming off a screen where you're getting a wide open look because of the attention of your stars. I don't want to go too deep into this.
I'm not, because this is the only statement I'm going to make regarding that. I'm going to tie it up with saying this. Don't clamor for James Harden and then get mad when James Harden does James Harden.
But James Harden... This is for a different time.
Stamping it. James Harden played his best game in Philly last night.
Played great.
But getting back to it, Embiid should be the favorite to win MVP right now. This is an issue I have. Again, James mentioned the media poll now projects Jokic over Embiid. Well, the last media poll, which was 3 weeks ago or so, had Embiid over Jokic. And all that's happened is Embiid playing better than Jokic. And Embiid's team playing better when he's on the court than Jokic's team plays when Jokic is on the court for the Nuggets. And when Jokic comes off the court, the Nuggets kind of play better with him off. Now, small sample size. When Embiid comes off the court, Giannis gives you 15 in 2 minutes on Paul Millsap and wins the game like he did last night. So it's so
Drew
hard.
Hanlon for doing some grade A propaganda for his guy.
I was seeing that today, and hey, it does. That bodes well for you as well as a shooting coach too. If my number one client wins MVP,
it doesn't make sense how Jokic passed Embiid in the last vote. That makes no sense.
And it's doublespeak because it's the same national media who says James Harden's washed, doesn't try, overrated, blah blah blah, but then says, "Oh, we have to put Jokic ahead of Embiid because Embiid got Harden." Yeah, so it's just this.
To Kyle's point too, the Nuggets with Jokic are plus 2.5 on the court. The Nuggets without Jokic are plus 5.9 net differential of minus 3.4. The Sixers with Embiid on the court plus 6.9. Sixers without Embiid only plus 0.8.
And
it feels right to just mention that since the last vote.
Right. That was since the last vote happened. But that is completely on display. Once again, last night, Sixers come into the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead, and that's salted away with Embiid on the bench, which emoji, he was sending some shots at Doc after the game saying, I need to be on the court.
Top 15 coach of all time.
Hey, man, it's top 15. Can't tell Doc that. But I just want to say, I think we have gone past the point of logic and reason ruling kind of who should get these awards. It is so much predicated nowadays, and we were talking about this before the cameras were on, so much predicated on how many social clips are you churning out? How many behind-the-back passes? That stuff actually does have a tangible impact on the award, in my opinion, at least in public perception. And ultimately, that stuff doesn't matter. It just doesn't. People throw all these stats. I was getting into arguments with Nuggets fans. TPA does not matter to me. I don't care how good Nikola Jokic is in it. If his team is the 6th seed,
right.
There's 5 other teams better than Nikola Jokic's team. He's not the most valuable player. He's not. He can't do it on the defensive end. We can get into the exact numbers of why I say that. But the ultimate thing that comes down to it, and going back to what I first said, we are devoid of logic and reason. When you, as a Nuggets fan, look at me and say Joel Embiid is equivalent to Nikola Jokic on the defensive end, or I'm over here trying to knock Nikola Jokic for whatever. It just doesn't make sense. People look goofy. I don't know. Me personally, I think it's Joel Embiid's award because he does it on both ends. And because, like Kyle said, logic transfers from last year, it was his award. Why wouldn't it be?
It's the unfair. I don't mean to keep.
No, go ahead. You're not going to.
It's the unfair exposure that Embiid gets that Jokic doesn't get that leads people to nitpick Embiid over Jokic. because nobody watches Nuggets games. They have the lowest cable rating of any team. A lot of it's because of like BS contract TV deals where they can't watch it because it's blacked out. So all these NBA writers who don't watch a lot of Jokic just look at the stats and say, oh, wow, look at that. While they watch a lot of the national TV Sixers games and point out every flaw when they're not watching Jokic's flaws because people don't watch the Nuggets.
Yeah, Jokic puts up 40, 10, and 10 in a battle to the death with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they look at the box score and say, man, he had a great game. Maybe he should stop Isaiah Roby from scoring 20. Maybe that's the issue. Like, this is what...
The MVP discussion should get you this hot. It really should get you this hot because it's saying who has been the pound-for-pound best player in the NBA this season for the entire year. And but we are straight facts. We live and die by the number. I guess we don't say we live and die by the numbers because we are able to peel away from them in times like this where I can absolutely look at the game of basketball. And Matt, to your point, I can even look at highlights and game summaries of the game of basketball and see that Joel Embiid has been the best player and at times the best team in the Eastern Conference this season. I just don't understand why there's such a desire to give the award to someone who has not been a better player than him this year.
What's funny about the voting too? A lot of this comes from like NBA, like beat writers, the media, right? Love narratives. The best narrative this year has been, for a case for MVP, has been the anti-narrative. They wanted to push all this Philly stuff. Ben Simmons, how's he going to break up the team? Joel Embiid goes city to city. Doesn't matter what city he's at. First question he gets in the postgame, what's up? Something about Ben Simmons, right? How about we just act like it doesn't matter? How about we come in, we win basketball games? How about we hold the 1 seed for a couple weeks? How about when we drop, we're like the 2 or 3 seed? Come in, beat guys. It doesn't matter. The Sixers came in, forgot about the Ben Simmons thing, and that was off of the mentality of Joel Embiid. And he's playing at the highest level of his career, and I think the highest level of the league right now.
Now, okay, let me play devil's advocate to 3 Sixers fans for a little bit, a tiny bit. Let's look at the other side. Look at the other side of the coin. Jokic does have the Nuggets only in the 6th seed. He has dealt with no Jamal Murray all season. He's dealt with an injury to Michael Porter Jr. as well. He's dealt to some adversity on his team, and I would argue his top 2 running mates on his team have gone down. And to most teams, that slides you out of the playoff scenario. He's kept them not only in the play-in, but above that into a playoff scenario to where, don't just try to walk past the Nuggets in the first round. The reigning MVP is on their team. They might beat you. Does he get credit at all for that? Because if it was a LeBron James who had his team into the 6th seed with all these injuries and all this adversity, if it was other players, you'd want to give them the MVP, right? So does he get some credit for that?
I mean,
bronze
he
medal.
has to.
But I also think Embiid
Gets the bronze.
Gets the bronze medal.
I also think Embiid gets credit for the team that he brought to a higher point.
As far as Jokic goes, like, you do have to give him his props because he is everything for them. Like you're saying, without him, I mean, obviously without their top 3 players, they're like a lottery team. But
right.
Even if you were to take him out and sub Jamal Murray in, I have a hard time imagining that they're making the play-in tournament in the West. So, yes, he is an MVP. I mean, he deserved the MVP last year once Embiid went out.
Yep.
And he deserves a ton of praise this year for the offensive numbers that he has put up. But it is a zero-sum game. And I don't think, personally, that anyone who is below average in terms of points per play allowed, when you look at guarding isolations, when you look at guarding post-ups, when you look at guarding the pick-and-roll man, Jokic is below average, below 50% in terms of percentile, points allowed per possession when they run those actions.
I'm here with you. You're looking at all center statistics right there. All statistics that the best of your position.
Yes.
In a positionless basketball world, you're. I can see why people are bringing other stats that aren't center stats into that conversation and saying, yeah, he's not as good as Embiid here, but he's better than Embiid in X, Y, and Z that aren't center statistics. Assists, how good you are in a pace of play, how you all those things that the center is never responsible for that. But that's padded in Jokic's argument because of this positionless basketball, because I see a center bringing up the ball now.
I just worry that defense means far, far too little compared to how much it actually impacts winning play. Like what happened with the Boston Celtics. They tightened up the defensive end, and they're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference like that, second half of the year. So, I just think that to be an MVP, especially, and last year it was cool because there was no heir apparent. There was no number 2 that was right on his neck. Now, when there's 2 guys who are dead even, I don't see how this is any different than when Russell Westbrook was getting his triple-doubles, The Thunder were a 6 seed. They were a lower seed. And then they decided after giving him an MVP, hey, we're going to give it to James Harden because he's doing similar stuff and his team's a little better. The same situation as this one.
I can see that, actually. I can see that.
That's why I call him Serbian. That's who he is.
And they rewarded
a little too far.
They rewarded Russ for a historic season, even though your team is 6 seed. Last year they rewarded Jokic for a historic season, even though your team's not number 1 or number 2 in the West. They still reward you for a historic season, but this year I need to reward, the winning team. Okay, so it sounds like that we're not on board with Jokic winning MVP if he were to win MVP.
I do think the race is really close. Right,
it should be.
Both have fair cases, but I just can't see. And it's just because it's so recent as yesterday, and it pissed me off. I don't understand how the newest media poll points to Nikola Jokic, and he is now the favorite to win MVP.
Well, I would just say
I don't understand how that happens.
I got some spicy conspiracy theories.
Go ahead, take it away.
So Adam Silver hates the Sixers because of the process.
Known.
And the Morey comment about Hong Kong got a lot of people mad. Ty Lue even made a comment about it in a recent thing last time. Daryl Morey tweeted he lost the NBA $2 billion.
And when was this? This was before last year?
The Hong Kong thing was before his last year in Houston.
Right.
Yeah. So now they got the Sixers who they hate the process, and then Daryl Morey who they got really upset at because of the China stuff. And maybe Adam Silver's like, hey, you'll get a little more access if we don't put Embiid as MVP.
Nah, I don't know if that's spicy.
We're down the rabbit hole. We're down the rabbit hole. And here's the thing. So how long are you going to punish the Sixers for this? Then they're just never going to get MVP ever again. Yeah, it's just an eternal punishment.
It's entertaining to me.
Yeah, you're sense making. You
not
get it. You're sense making.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just putting it out there.
You've brought up some good ones in the past. I'm not getting on board with that one.
I would just prepare, if you are a 76ers fan listening to this podcast, prepare for Nikola Jokic to be back-to-back MVP.
Yep.
Because the straw polls comprised of 70% of the actual NBA MVP voters. And in that poll, I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have them up in front of me. I think it was like 20-some votes for Embiid, 60-some for Jokic. That is like nowhere near a 50-50 coin flip, kind of like we're depicting it. That is like Nikola Jokic more times than not. Is you run this and he's getting the award.
And if you're Sixers fan, let's use that energy. If it does happen,
we
got a playoff run to make, boys. Let's use that energy.
His award. He's got bigger fish to fry in the Western Conference.
What I will say actually is, if Embiid doesn't win the MVP,
you think that ignites him? You think that ignites him for a playoff run?
Oh my God, yeah. You know how he takes that.
Yeah,
that
as he should. He's
the guy that lights under his
as
butt.
he should.
They don't announce it till late now.
No, they do it in the
June.
first round.
And now in June, I thought they do the award show.
They do like the whole NBA.
No, I
awards.
remember last year, and maybe this was a one-time thing, they were doing it in the first round in the locker room before games.
Yeah, that's right. Jokic
got it in the locker room.
He got the most anticlimactic MVP.
LaMelo Ball got his Rookie of the Year.
But I do think I think that was like a weird year. I think that was
that
stat
a
mats on it.
thing?
I'd see him typing over there. Stat mats on it.
Yeah, I would say, and this is for some NBA YouTube heads, anyone's going down the rabbit hole of highlights. Embiid takes after Hakeem Olajuwon, and something similar happened to Hakeem Olajuwon, where David Robinson was given the NBA MVP. They go out to play, and they hand Robinson before the game the award, and Hakeem turns to, I think it may have been Kenny Smith, and said, "That's my award. I'm going to go show him tonight." And went and dominated. That's where the highlight from him shaking Robinson out of his shoes comes from. Dominated the Spurs in that series. So I could say, hey, man, I could see the same thing happening this year with the Sixers.
Matt found it.
Well, what is
so
it?
They're not. The reason it happened last year, where they were giving him out in playoff series, is because the league got pushed back last year.
Right,
the season started in December.
Right.
And
Matt
just said, no exception, it gets given out in June. Well, June last year happened to be when the first, second round of the playoffs was.
So this year will be given away. Okay, we're going to move on for the sake of time. So we have that MVP discussion. Those are the top two in terms of the media's eyes. But we've identified some people who probably should be in the MVP discussion but aren't getting as much buzz. So this segment is who else deserves some recognition, even though they won't win MVP. Jake, I'll start with you. Who deserves some buzz, even though they're not going to get the award?
Yeah, Matt jumped me on this one, and honestly, looking back on it, I wish I spent this time researching on someone a little bit more niche to give some praise, because Giannis might not be out of this. I mean, he's probably out of this race. He might not be.
Yeah.
Out of this race.
Couple.
To me,
Honestly,
he's
I
not
thought
out
he
of this
was
race.
before last night.
Yeah,
but
to
then
me.
last night
He is career high in points per game. He obviously just put up the 40.14 rebound performance against Philly with a game-saving block. And this isn't statistically based, granted we are straight facts, but it is a fact. He is the best big moment player in the NBA.
And to me, that aids you. To me, that helps you. To me, if I can look back and remember iconic moments of you winning games against other MVP candidates in the season, that helps your case. Absolutely.
On both ends, he'll make game winning, not like oh, keep us in the game, or oh, that was big down the stretch. Like, if this goes in, we lose. If you stop it, we win. He did it in the finals. He does it against Embiid. Like, he is incredible. And honestly, MVP aside, probably you can make the case best player on the planet.
I agree.
In a playoff series.
Yeah. He might be the best player in the world right now.
I mean, I know people were throwing last night that Harden quote of, oh, well, I wish I could be 7 foot and have no skill. He has, make no mistake about it, Giannis has skill. He has
Giannis
things in
has
his bag.
gained a lot of skill.
Yeah, he's
too.
gained a lot
I'm
of
saying.
skill.
Giannis, I truly believe that Giannis is the most evolution of a basketball player that I've ever seen, like watching basketball. Like
Happened like that.
and like if you remember this kid coming in, this skinny, frail, 7 foot kid that could dribble, and you're like, if he can get to the rim every single time, he'll be one of the best players on the planet. But you can't do that in the NBA. Not only does he put on nearly every pound in the world, but Jake, I'm watching him walk people down, tween, and pull up, and it went from oh, look at Giannis trying to have a jump shot to now, if you don't guard it, that's a working jump shot that's gonna go in. Like to watch that and then now see him be a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, like to have all these accolades after that,
A ring.
dude,
Yeah.
it's the most evolution of any basketball player.
I just think people are overthinking it. He's proven it at every level. Won the Finals MVP. He's just as good. There's no way you can make a definitive argument that Embiid or Jokic is better.
I mean,
Just as a respect thing, I almost think you have to give it to him.
like I guess for parity, which we all know they love parity, give it to somebody else. Maybe that's the sake. But to put it in perspective, same points per game, more rebounds, more assists, better record, and more efficiency than Joel Embiid. Like if we're looking at value and statistics, Giannis got to be right up there with everybody in this MVP discussion.
The reason they won't give it to him is the same reason they shouldn't give it to Jokic. And it's because, like, yeah, he might be the best player 2 years in a row, but if in that second year after winning MVP, you don't do something to build off of what you did, it can't just be the same.
I hear you. You set the bar for yourself.
It has to be higher. It has to be better, which isn't fair, but that's just like when Steph Curry did it the second time. They won 73 games, or that was the season.
He was a lot better as second MVP.
Yeah, he was.
He was way better. So, like,
the first MVP year was like, oh my, like it was like a splash on the scene.
Like,
so we
maybe
got
Harden
unanimous.
should have won. Next year, no.
No, he's the MVP.
Yeah, unanimous. First time ever.
Nuts, back to back. Kyle, who should get more buzz for this MVP award?
Yeah, that's actually not quite the direction I went with it. I just want to give a guy recognition.
Go ahead.
This guy shouldn't be in the MVP talks, but Karl Anthony Towns. Because not only did he need this year, but there's an argument to be made, and it's towards the 10 spot, but he's a top 10 player in the league this year.
Here's the thing. Maybe he's not in the MVP discussion as like a top 3 or top 5, but like, is he a MVP like candidate? Like if someone had to put an MVP candidate, you said Karl Anthony Towns. Like I'm not gonna look at you like ridiculously crazy. He's having an outstanding year.
Unless I'm forgetting someone, I think he probably is third team All NBA after Embiid.
Yeah, I was actually going to make that
because I don't think they
case for
consider Giannis the center. But just like if you look at him, one he needed this year.
Yeah.
This is a guy who played 82 games the first 3 years of his career. Didn't sit a game, maybe sat one game. I could be wrong. Then the last 2 years really played 55% of games over 2 seasons. 1 out of every 2 games, basically, he's not playing. Well, this is a year for a guy who's a borderline superstar to be able to make that jump. Now he's played 91% of games. Now he's inching on the playoffs for the first time since 2019. Really the first real team he has to make, like, has behind him where you can confidently go in, like, yo, we might win a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Last time they got 4-1 by the Rockets, right? So, I mean, I just think for a guy like this who, you look at the stats, maybe he's putting up the same stats he has his whole career, but now he's got guys around him, and now he's playing winning basketball while doing it, which is a tough jump to make. You could put up 25 and 10, but you could go 20 and 62. Well, now he's putting up 25 and 10 and easily coasting into the playoffs. I mean, like, this is the guy who's – and really the Timberwolves have been in the playoff spot all year. And I know it's elevated teammates around him like Anthony Edwards and D'Lo, better team than he's had before. But for him to still be the man on that team, the man that's still, okay, I'm going to give you 50 tonight, which he did once. giving you 30, 20-something times this year.
Yes.
I'm just really impressed with Karl-Anthony Towns. He has now cemented himself as a superstar for me.
Mhm.
I think really that was the conversation people were trying to have, but you couldn't really make the case. I think after this season, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, he stopped being timid. He stopped being coy and stopped taking the back foot to people. He's up in your grill. It's amazing what a year and a half.
Attitude he has going.
It's amazing what a year and a half of Patrick Beverley does to you,
He
man.
was talking that talk to Stephen A. I don't know if you saw.
It's nice. Yeah, he's talking to everyone. But sometimes you see a player come back from the offseason and his game has turned a corner and he's an MVP candidate. Sometimes you start to see it at the end of the previous year and he carries it in. And I think we're starting to see it now from Cat. I don't want people to be surprised when it's next October, next November, next December, and Cat's in the MVP conversation, because we're seeing it now. I saw it, like Kyle said, through the middle part of the season start to carry up, and I think that trajectory is only going to go upwards towards the end of the season. And if they do make some kind of noise in the playoffs this year, that's only stuff to build off of, right? That's only gonna continue.
Could.
This is
I believe it, man.
It's probably the best feel good story too, because remember, Cat went through some really rough personal stuff over COVID. Yeah. And there was a time where, after games he was saying I don't love basketball anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think was literally quoted him saying. So there's not an easy road back from that. And for him to come back, and also I think this quells the Cat wants out of Minnesota. They've got a really good, young, hungry team. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think he wants out of
Minnesota. Those guys
anymore.
have fun too.
Yeah, they
there's a couple teams the Hornets have a lot of fun as a team.
Mm-hmm.
The Timberwolves have a lot of fun as a team.
I'm not going anywhere.
And now they're winning.
If I break the huddle and I see someone get in a lineup, courtside, I'm not going nowhere. This is a lit city.
They could make some noise, man. Because you know who's been having a good year but very inconsistent? Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Let him have a good series. The Timberwolves are a very good team when Edwards is also
D'Lo's
playing well.
low-key been a consistent for him, been a consistent person for him all season.
And a crazy clutch player. People
Mm-hmm.
sleep on how many – you were just talking about big moment Giannis. Not at the same scale, but D'Lo's got some clutch moments in his
career. He invented the ice in the veins.
Even his regular season games against the Sixers hitting game winners twice.
And do not sleep. You heard it on Straight Facts first. If I had to pick one upset in the NBA playoffs, round one, I'm going them over the number 2 Memphis Grizzlies. That's the most likely, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could see it. It's the one I could see happening the most.
Everyone's talking seeds. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know.
I mean, the playoffs started right now.
Set right now. And there's only 9 some games left. I can't wait until the playoffs.
Two young teams. The Grizzlies, although they're a good team, they're in a spot that they haven't been at before. And if I'm the Timberwolves, I'm there to shake things up. I'm there to get up in there and shake, just shake things up and upset a lot of people. All right, Matt, give me your person. I need some buzz.
Well, obviously I stole Giannis from Jake, but I'll put what I put in the script. That was Luka. Luka is not quite, but because the Luka arc of the season is, I swear, he starts the season cold, he gets really, really hot, plays unbelievable, and then his team isn't good enough to win in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been able to. So he's only 22 or 23, whatever he is. So
which is nuts, by
not
the way.
An indictment at all. But he hasn't been able to sustain that best player in the league play for a whole season. He can only do it for 35 games at a time. So this year he's averaging 28, 9, and 8. His efficiency's a little down. That's because he shot horribly from 3 in the beginning of the year. First 32 games, he shot 29%. Since then, he's shooting 40%. If he shoots 40% from 3 for a season, he'll win an MVP.
Mm. And it's you're right. It's the pattern we see Luka come in. I'm not going to be shy about it. He comes in out of shape. He comes in from the summer not in basketball shape every single year. A little pudgy. And then, but he'll still drop, 25, 7 and 9 on your favorite team. They might win, they might not. And then, like you say, Matt, 2 months in the season, he gets back into basketball shape. He gets back into game shape. He slims down. And now all of a sudden, he's dropping 40-point triple-doubles, and the Mavs start winning. But the team itself is 31-11 since New Year's Eve. They've been one of the best teams of this calendar year in the NBA. And I do see, a new energy from this Mavs team. Since the Porzingis trades that they've gotten Dinwiddie, since Luka has continued this uptick, I have seen an energized Mavs team. We talked about them last week as maybe being one of the sleeper contenders in the NBA, and Luka's got to be at the forefront of that. And I don't know. To me, if Luka doesn't have that slow start, if the Mavericks keep pace and are second, third, maybe even fourth in the West, what are they right now in the West?
I think they're fifth.
They're fifth. So if they stayed in that second, third in the West, they're fourth. Say they were second or third. I'll even give them third. But if they were second in the West,
they're a game behind Golden State for third.
You're not. No way. You're not telling me that Luka isn't in that top 2 to 3 MVP conversation.
They honestly, even without that early him having it locked in 24/7, like there's really no, I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot.
You're mad that he's not. You're mad that Jokic is over him.
I must be missing something. I have to be missing something that Luka Doncic is the 4 seed, puts up these numbers. He loses his second best player, and the team gets better, and yet we are fixated on Nikola Jokic. I got to go in the lab and
you got to really evaluate what you know about basketball, huh?
Has to be.
Why? Yeah, but I mean, because if I gave you blind resumes, maybe we should do this again. That was a really fun day. But if I gave you blind resumes again, put all of Luka's stats and accolades, all of Jokic's stats and accolades, you look at Luka's and be like, that's hands down MVP. Why are you even putting this in?
I'd still pick Jokic.
And they're similar. They're very similar.
Jokic's efficient scoring is so important.
But okay, Matt, why do we have to dive into advanced stats to prove Jokic?
Well, I mean, you still give it Jokic though.
Jokic's shooting percentage is higher than Luka's true shooting percentage.
He's 7 foot tall.
That still counts, though.
He's a different position. He's taking different shots, of course.
Yeah.
If he shot the shots Luka shot,
big man, big man
have higher
big man field goal percentage. Like he's 57. That's like an average center.
Well,
now his volume's way higher.
Considering who he is, 57 is very efficient for Nikola Jokic.
But he's like 34% from 3. It's not like these men's hitting shots from everywhere.
I just think it. We just need to.
I agree.
It's a bit of a paradigm shift.
Because actually, when talking about the Mavericks, and this is the thing that Jokic gets, is like he's got the whole team on his back. His team's injured. The Nuggets aren't that good.
What has that never been the case? What has that ever not been the case for Luka?
Yeah, like my whole argument last week with the Mavs is like, I don't think their team's very good. I don't think the structure makes sense where you have 3 guards as your 3 best players, but they got Luka, so they have a shot, right? I don't even think like the Nuggets. I don't say that about the Nuggets. Like they got Jokic, so they got a shot to win it.
That's true.
Jake, we could
really do something.
I might tear up Twitter with this one. I might actually be a menace on
We can't
Twitter.
do a little epiphany here.
You did.
It shouldn't be that big of a difference.
You really could.
I agree with that.
Now, here's what goes against Luka, in my opinion. This is just straight coming from me. This could be wrong. It's my perception of it. The MVP award is something you have to lobby for, whether it's through your play, through your actions. You almost have to cast. Yeah. You have to campaign, cast your ballot nowadays, and Luka doesn't do that. Like Luka isn't. He's not going out to chase the MVP award. And maybe if he does go out to chase the MVP award one day, he will get it. But that's not what he's doing. Like, I think it's clear and present when someone's going after that MVP. To me, it's not clear and present that Luka's going after that MVP.
Do you think it's like people are still viewing him as like the newcomer in the league, and the big perception around Luka is like he's the next one?
He's just not there yet. He's not there yet.
The voters, they're just thinking like it's too early. Like I don't think he is the MVP, but I think that holds against him.
They wanted to put John in MVP talks, like early in the season. Early in the season.
Really, though.
I just think
Luka's true shooting percentage is roughly the same as Tobias Harris. I just want to say that.
Oh, that's a strong comeback, Matt. That's a really strong, especially playing to your audience here. Me, who, this isn't a bash, Toby.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Repeat your question, Kyle.
It wasn't really a question. I was just, do you think it's like too young? Like, and that's the thing in the public perception is that he's next up, and we're just not to that next.
We've given MVPs to 22-year-olds.
Wow. Derrick Rose.
Not really.
And
like
then,
D Rose.
I was probably I don't know if it was a mistake to give it to Derrick Rose. He probably deserved it, but there are some other people you could have lobbied.
There wasn't that many superstars in the league then either. Like it is now.
Luka could win it if he decided, like you said, he wanted to, and what that would entail, just like Jokic did, just like Embiid did, instead of rolling into the season and working into shape, you're in shape from day one to go, tip to final buzzer, and playing major minutes. He has to do that in the middle of the season where he gets up to that and he's in shape by 20, 30 games.
Yeah, in a race like this, dropping the first month and a half, 2 months matters. It may not matter if you're
you guys are kind of overplaying that.
You think I over?
I'm trying to sense make here.
Dropping the first 2 months.
No. I'm not. It's not a cognizant like I don't care about the season coming in, but like it's noted that Luka doesn't come into his best shape.
For me,
He got
It
the
can't.
MVP
though. I mean,
is
like-
a regular season award. If I was told for the regular season you could have Jokic or Doncic, I'd easily take Jokic. If you said for the playoffs you can have Jokic or Doncic, I'd take Doncic. But the MVP is a regular season award.
Why are you so dead set on taking Jokic over Doncic?
Because I just think for 82 games, he's going to be a top 5 player for the entirety of the season. And I can bank on that.
And you can't bank on that for Luka.
No, Luka's not. It's not like a big gap, but it's clear. It's like one's an A player, one's an A- player. I'll easily take the A.
I hear you. All right, I'm going to give mine. Mine's going to be Devin Booker. And this one obviously comes of really late. But, I mean, I think everyone in the national basketball spotlight and the national media spotlight is starting to recognize what Devin Booker's doing. You guys found something? You guys find gold over there?
Kind of comparing the stats on the Luka early starts.
We went to check tape on Luka early season. It's
First 14 games is like he's averaging 25, 9, and 8. Like I don't think
That's that actually is exactly the numbers I said almost. Like, yeah, like he rolls in a little bit. He rolls in a little
but
bit.
he's a season long, like
It's just
28, 9, and 8.5.
Right. And because the last 45 are crazy. And
But it was like those are the same stats. It's
No,
2
but
points per game difference.
Efficiency matters, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
sorry
And
to say I'm-
wins.
sorry
Like,
to say I'm
they
right,
weren't
Kyle.
winning games.
Sorry to say I'm right.
Well, you're not.
It's all right.
You said coasting, and you mentioned 26, 9, and 8.
Nah, he
his
it up later
season
in the year.
average
There's
is
no
Yeah,
doubt.
when he
28,
gets
9,
more
and 8.
efficient, the Mavericks win a lot more.
Yeah.
Sure,
It
they
clearly
win, but the
matters.
stats are the same. The numbers are the same.
I don't know if I used the word coasting. Maybe, but I don't think I meant
He
coasting.
rolls.
He comes in. Yeah, he comes in.
Like Joel Embiid
I
game
said he
1
comes out
is
of
in
shape.
the same shape nowadays as he is in game 50, 60. Like that is what it takes to be an MVP. And I don't know. I guess we'll see because this is up in the air. But
We'll see.
I think he comes in a little pudgy, little windy.
little bit. It's okay.
What do you think they
It's
took the picture? That's an off-season picture. I saw his picture. You're right.
Back to Devin Booker. I mean, this is Book obviously is someone that everyone is starting to see as of late, starting to get recognition, and it might be too late to really seriously enter an MVP discussion now. But if you really take a look at what Book's been doing, keeping the Suns at the number 1 spot in the Western Conference without Chris Paul since the All-Star break, 30 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists per game, and before the All-Star break, that was 25 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. So the rebounds and assists numbers didn't really change at all, but the scoring went up, and since the All-Star break is the mark of not having Chris Paul. So Chris Paul was kind of that Suns player that was, they're the number 1 team, they're the best team in the NBA. We want to give the best player on the best team that praise and put him in the MVP conversation. He goes down, and instead of letting the Suns waver or even fall, Book has upped his play and kept the Suns exactly where they are, and they've only lost 3 of these games since the All-Star break that Book has played in. Like, I think if we had more time, give another month of the NBA season, he's seriously in MVP
My
consideration.
problem with the Devin Booker argument is that the Suns' construction is so good
True.
that you don't see Devin Booker's flaws be exposed because his flaw is defensively. But when you have Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton to clean up for the slack,
To me, that doesn't go against an MVP. Like
I
what that
still
your
think-
team's constructed well.
I apply. No, it's not the team
It's
sense,
more
but
like
it's more the defense. What Matt's
he's-
saying is his flaws aren't on display.
if you're viewing someone as an individual,
Right.
there's no one Phoenix would rather have in that slot right now, basically, than Devin Booker. But if you're just looking at it on a purely individual basis, he's not as complete a player as Giannis and Embiid, Doncic, honestly. So I'm not trying to fault Devin Booker. It's just when everything is constructed so perfectly for you to succeed, and you're sucking brilliantly. Like it's not like a lot of MVPs like
I know this is gonna be don't kill me because this is gonna be on a way crazier scale. But the Warriors were constructed perfectly for what Stephen Curry wanted to do, and Stephen Curry goes and wins MVP.
Like his unreal
right,
numbers.
and I'm saying
Devin
the
Booker's
scale is
putting up very good numbers.
the scale is much different. But Stephen Curry's flaws weren't on display because of the Warriors.
but when you're
constructed
breaking every
right, when you're breaking records,
compared
it's
to just
different.
being very
But
good,
I'm
that's
comparing the concepts.
Yeah,
though. I'm
like
comparing
Devin
concepts.
Booker's having a great season. He's playing great basketball, probably the best basketball of his career. I would say, which is dangerous because this team made the playoffs or the finals last year. But to Matt's point, especially about the team construction, like think about all the guys we named. Who's the most valuable player on the Bucks? Giannis, easy. Sixers, Embiid, easy. Mavericks, Doncic, easy. Who's the most valuable player on the Suns?
Chris Paul, right?
It might be Chris Paul. Like,
not might be.
It probably Chris Paul. So it's like tough to put him in the category for the award, but he's playing tremendously well, and the Suns are having the best regular season we've seen out of them. I mean,
ever.
They're
going to have the best record in their team's history.
Yeah, so
they're already at 60. We're already at 62
not to mention
wins.
they made the finals last year.
Right, but
like,
and here's the thing, and that's why I wanted to signify since the All-Star break, because since that most valuable player for them has gone out, most of the time you see that and you see the team drop. Even if the number 2 guy is still there and they're not, imploding, you see them drop a little bit. But we've actually only seen the gap expand more between them and the number 2 seed in the West. We've only seen Devin Booker's play go up. We haven't noticed the Suns waver at all, to the point where you kind of like Chris Paul's back and you blink an eye and nothing of the Suns have changed.
It is impressive.
Yeah, he's right back in there.
And that's why the Warriors are dropping. Hasn't affected the Suns.
He suffers from Pacific time itis because
playing out there.
If you played in a national time zone 7 o'clock type game, you're gonna get more eyes and you're gonna get more respect because you are the team. Like Trae Young, the way he was talked about in the beginning of this year before we found out that team stinks like we thought it did. Trae Young was getting talked like he was like one of the top superstars faces of the league. Devin Booker would get that if he was on the East Coast. Maybe I'm crazy.
Also, it's an issue is the Lakers take up every single primetime West Coast game. So the Suns don't get them. The Lakers get way more of them. And
here's why
West Coast slots allotted are kind of selective.
And here's why you're not crazy, Jake, is because you are focused on the public perception. You're ear to the streets, and you need, we need people's ear to the streets, and not just worried about what the actual vote or actual like vote getters and vote takers are thinking, but like what's public perception. And that is public perception right there. That's why Devin Booker is not winning it in the streets, is because all these other I see all these other people on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. I don't see Devin Booker like that.
It's not just public perception. Don't fool yourself. People at ESPN aren't staying up to watch a Phoenix Suns game. I promise. Not the ones who got to host 7 o'clock Sports Center on Bristol. Hey Zach Lowe. Hey, I got a podcast tomorrow. I'll look at the stats and I'll cast my vote that way.
I'll watch the condensed game.
He's just not there yet. Like. Maybe not there yet is the wrong term, but just comparatively to the league, like especially you look at everyone, it's like guys putting their team on their backs. Devin Booker doesn't do that because he doesn't have to do that. They're going to have the best record in team history because their team is good. They play good basketball together.
He's not putting the team on his back, but this stretch without Chris Paul is because of Devin Booker. Like I guess there's a fine line to say that in between of him not putting it on his back and it being because of him, but.
This stretch for the other guys, it's like
been the whole
season.
It's
tough.
But and that's why I said
player. I mean,
give the regular season another month and a half, and he continues this, and he's right up in there in that conversation. But it's he hasn't done it for long enough.
We'll give him player of the month.
We'll give him.
Yeah, it's up
there. I think did he actually get Western Conference Player of the Month for?
I don't keep up with those awards, but he probably did.
He's gonna have to for March.
Cat actually could have too.
Yeah, we're gonna move from the NBA hardwood to the college basketball hardwood because it's the Final Four, and my Cats are in the Final Four. Kyle's ecstatic about it. I know Kyle's loving Villanova in the Final Four, man. I know we can't be more excited about it.
I mean, I'm excited that no one's going to talk about it because maybe the biggest game in college basketball history is also going on the same exact day.
That's actually a big overshadowing.
But we're first. So you won't be tired from Duke UNC. You
don't know what you're missing.
But we'll move on to those two games for the Final Four. A historic one, Duke versus North Carolina, and on the other side, Villanova versus Kansas. We'll talk about the more historic one first, Duke versus UNC, because if we thought the NFL scriptwriters had a good season, college basketball scriptwriters take a bow. Like I'm sure there's some way that you could
gotten better.
finagle this, but for Duke to lose in Coach K's final regular season game at Cameron and then have a chance to get vengeance in the Final Four, you can't do it any better.
Honestly, I never thought so. I feel bad for UNC because
why? They're an 8 seed in the Final Four.
Exactly. So Roy Williams left the program. The program was not that good. Hubert Davis pulls them up. They have a really good season, get the 8 seed, upset Duke, Coach K's last game, They have a great run in the tournament. And now if they lose to Duke, that's all the season will be remembered by. They lost to Duke in the Final Four in the biggest game in the rivalry's
But
history.
that is ultimately, either way, though, that falls, it's going to be someone is going to remember, hey, man, Coach K's last game, they couldn't get past UNC again. Or it's going to be what you said.
Right.
I just think if I was a UNC fan and I was told you could lose in the Elite Eight, Duke doesn't win the national title, or lose in the Final Four to Duke, Duke doesn't win the national title, I'd rather lose in the Elite Eight. And it's because it's one of those, like, they thought they had the leg up forever, and they could.
They could still,
Yeah, I think you're feeling bad for them a little too early. It's like you're writing them off.
No, but it's like
they're still in the game,
too. You won a big bet, and then instead of just taking the winnings, you're betting it all again.
For a chance to win a bigger bet.
I know.
A bigger, and this time, actual eternal
I think
bet.
Matt's writing them off a little too early. They still get to play the basketball game too.
I hope
we can feel.
And we're coming off.
Actually,
we're coming off the best game of the year for Caleb Love. We're coming off a dominant performance from Armando Bacot. Like, this team is hitting strides.
And also, so Matt's saying he feels bad for UNC if they lose. If they win, it's going to be the greatest moment in school history.
I just really don't think it's going to happen.
There's two extremes on this side.
I really hope I'm wrong. I really think Duke's just going to win it all. And I hate it.
And here's the thing. Duke, I talked about them when I talked about them being one of my most overrated teams in the tournament. I'm glad that aged very well as they're in the Final Four. I talked about I had seen very little games where all of their best players have put it together in their moments, where Paolo Banchero, AJ Griffin, Trevor Keels, Jeremy Roach have all put it together. Wendell Moore have all put it together. And then when they do every tournament game, they all put it together pretty much. And especially in this last game, to get them to the Final Four, that was the most impressive game I've seen them play all season. And yes, if Paolo Banchero plays the way he did, they win. If AJ Griffin plays the way he did, they're one of the best teams in the country, and can go on and win a national tournament.
I think they are the best team in the country.
When he plays like that, I got no argument against you.
It comes to a point, and I think I said that people were sleeping on Duke in the Final Four, or sleeping on Duke when the tournament was starting, and even I was maybe sleeping on them from what I thought. I was like, people are too low on this team. I didn't think they were going to look this good, but it does come to a point that we're like, oh, there's 3 lottery picks on that team. Oh. This is the greatest coach in college basketball history. Oh, it's his last season. They're gonna win the national championship. I mean, you could have just thought about this and maybe pieced it together. People were a little too low on Duke going into this tournament. Come on.
I mean, when you're Duke, the target's always on your back, and people want to find ways of why you're not going to win it. And then when you do, everyone does exactly that. It's oh yeah, they're Duke. They're supposed to do. Stat Matt, I'm giving you a little bit of homework. I want to know how many times Duke and UNC have been put in the same bracket in the tournament. Because yes, college basketball script writers did a very good job. I know that if I'm the NCAA and I put Duke and North Carolina, they see each other in the same region, or with a chance to see each other in the Final Four, they're gonna do it. They're gonna get there and meet. So I want to know how many times.
I don't think it's happened because I have a thing. Since 1980, Duke's made the Final Four 13 times. UNC's made the Final Four 14 times. This is the first time they've met. So they've not done a good job.
Yeah, they've been on opposite sides.
Yeah, they've been on opposite sides every time.
And I know.
So they picked the one year.
The year that Duke upset UNLV, UNC was on the other side of the Final Four bracket, and they lost to I think Kansas.
So it's been able to happen.
That was the closest they've ever got.
Right.
Of course, guys, we're bringing this up because I don't think we ever actually mentioned it, but they've never played each other in the tournament.
Right,
before.
never played each other in the tournament.
So yeah, that was the closest, Matt, 1991, where they were on opposite sides of the Final Four, would have had the shot to meet in the national championship. Closest they've ever been, didn't happen. Now we're about to get it.
I do want to say, just from a prospect, and that's, as we talked about last week, a lot of my vantage point, Mark Williams. Guy who didn't get a ton of buzz.
Beast.
That's the third lottery pick.
Guy who played third lottery pick, and I don't think you could make the case before the tournament that he was going to be. Maybe you could. Maybe he'll be. I think now
sneak him in. I think he's stamped in.
Now he is definitely over in the tournament so far. He's averaging 4 blocks per game. If you bring literally nothing else outside of that at a collegiate level, you are one of the best bigs in college basketball.
I think this is going to be it's the most hyped game in college basketball history by far.
Oh yeah.
It might end up being the best game in college basketball history because when you look at their strong suits, like they both have an answer to each other for their strong suits. If I bring out Mark Williams, I can answer with Armando Bacot and vice versa. If I bring out the Duke guards, I can answer with the North Carolina guards and vice versa. If I bring out the Duke defense, I can bring out the North Carolina offensive rebounding. Like they clash. These Titans are going to clash each other in every way.
OT banger.
This is going to be a crazy basketball game. But I need picks. So Matt, who wins, Duke or UNC?
Duke.
Kyle.
Duke, I don't see like Bacot's having a good tournament. I think he runs into a wall here. I mean, they're overly relying on him. Like Caleb Love, I was at the St. Peter's game. Caleb Love was hitting shots.
Mm-hmm.
If he could come in and like do that, if he can come in and be like, all right, I'm gonna take over this game, which I don't really love college basketball players doing, but that might be their win condition.
I mean, he did it in the Sweet 16 game, right?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a road to it. I'm not counting them out. I just think Duke, like by 6 or 7 at this point, should just be favored by that much because they're better.
Yeah, we were talking James before. I'm gonna have my eyes on AJ Griffin as a guy who I've been doing a lot of research on. One of the most exciting like shot maker, creator type guys that there is left in this tournament. If he has a big game, I think that it's a definite. I'm still gonna go. It feels slimy, but I just gotta pick Duke. Gotta pick Duke here.
I don't know why you feel so slimy picking
Duke.
The evil empire. I'm not gonna pick Duke.
Really not?
I'm going to pick North Carolina. I think North Carolina is a team realized or a team actualized. Like I think that like they were never as down this season as people thought they were. This is a 22-23 game win team.
First year coach.
In the regular season, a first year coach, right? But they like the record never suggested that they weren't ranked or that they were really bad. They had some very questionable losses, in the regular season. But they've since bounced back, and this is how good North Carolina should have been all season. This isn't a surprise. This is just a team realized. I think they continue that. Like it's going to be like we're splitting hairs between picking Duke or North Carolina right now.
For me, the only really good team they've played this tournament was Baylor, and they really almost just completely choked.
I mean, whether
yeah.
the best team that the only good team they played is the defending national champions. Like, we're in the final four of the NCAA tournament. Who you beat is who you beat to get here, man.
To be fair, Duke got to see Arkansas in the Elite Eight. I don't think Arkansas is good at all. Like I mean, Texas Tech they played Texas Tech, right?
Texas Tech,
Michigan State. Yeah. I think that
Texas
was the
Tech
game.
might be the most impressive win.
You can look at that the same way that you're looking at the UNC.
Yeah. All right, let's flip to the other side because we got to talk about this one too.
There's another game.
Crazy, right? No, Villanova versus Kansas. This is going to be a great game too. It's no storied college rivalry that has a great market chapter, but these are two programs who the past 3 to 5 NCAA tournaments have met a lot of times. Nova is coming out the beneficiary of those meetings, but
last 2 times Nova played Kansas in the tournament, they beat them and then won the
national tournament. So Kansas does have, I think Nova is 3 of the last 4 meetings, so Kansas does have one of those meetings, I believe, regular season at Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse in the beginning of the season. It was a tough game. But the storyline in this game is really can Nova overcome the loss of Justin Moore, which is like that was, one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in quite some time to see Justin Moore going down with that Achilles injury. But can Nova overcome that? Can Colin Gillespie, Jermaine Samuels, and company go out and beat Kansas?
I think it's so weird right now. There's so many question marks because Nova only plays 6 players on the court at a time. So without a doubt, someone's going to have to come in and play who we just haven't seen play basketball.
Brian Antoine or Chris Archidiakono.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think they can. I think that hurts them. Justin Moore is their second leading scorer, I believe. I think Colin Gillespie isn't really the point guard that can, take over a team by himself. That's not the game Nova plays. Nova plays their offense. Mm-hmm. They're well coached. They play good basketball. So losing a key piece like that can really throw a wrench in it. I think talent-wise, this game's still neck and neck without Justin Moore.
Me too.
But what does that team look like without him? How does this team play without him? Because we don't know.
Yeah.
They only play 6 guys. That still amazes me. Like 6 guys all play 37 minutes.
And it was 7 to start the season. Jordan Longino goes out, tears his MCL, has to have surgery right before the tournament starts. You narrow that down to 6. You lose Justin Moore. It's 5, and the combination of Brian Antoine and Chris Archidiakono are going to have to give me 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm actually so in for the Brian Antoine comeback arc.
Yeah, I need it.
I loved him in high
so
school. He
right.
played with Scotty Lewis in Jersey.
One of the top, one of the highest, one of the highest, ranked kids coming out of his class, coming out of high school. Everyone in Villanova would love to see a Brian Antoine resurgence.
Yeah.
The game I think we get, and he's been turning it up slowly each game, is Caleb Daniels. I think a lot of focus is going to be on Colin Gillespie. A lot of focus is going to be on Jermaine Samuels from him winning the all region, the most outstanding player in the region. But I mean, Caleb Daniels has come in. I believe he had 20 or 21 in the Elite Eight game to send him to the Final Four. Like, he's been coming off and giving such great production off the bench, and that's going to be the go-getter, bucket-getter that Nova needs in this game. And Caleb Daniels can absolutely get it. And then I also think that Kansas don't want to see Nova, man. Like, I think this
I
is
don't think anyone wants to see Nova.
This is another pace-controlling game. Like, Kansas don't want to play slow. Every team in the tournament, most teams, I'll say, in the tournament, want to play fast. And Kansas, again, fits the mold of these past teams we're playing, like Michigan, like Ohio State, like Houston, where they don't want to play slow. If you slow it down, they get outside of their game. And when Kansas was struggling with Miami last week, Miami was slowing it down, using all the shot clock, getting more possessions. And Kansas was out of their element. And then it became a track meet, and then Miami
down 6 at half, and then win by 20.
47.
And do you notice how fast how much the pace changed? Like, it was more energetic. People were running up and down the floor, and now Miami can't win in this track meet.
I actually missed the second half because I was at the same. We were driving to Philly
to the same. You had a very good reason to miss that game, but I mean, look, I don't want to overlook who and what Kansas is, because they maybe have one of the top players in the country here in Abaji, and it's going to be a challenge to really slow him down and stop him. And then they have other great players. Brown is really good on the perimeter. David McCormick is going to give us all sorts of problems on the inside. Like, they have a good team over there.
I think the guy who I have my eye on, and if we're talking X factors, guys who could really swing the tide, Remy Martin has been very impressive.
Out of nowhere in the tournament.
Out of nowhere, and especially the last game against Florida, only 9 points. But the two before that, 20 points, 23 points against Creighton and Providence, respectively. It gives him another look at guard. He is. He is.
Point guard, yeah.
I don't, like I said, it's a super casual take, but it seems to me that more talent is on.
No, Remy Martin. And Remy Martin's a player who last year had a whole lot of buzz around him. That whole Arizona State team with Josh Christopher and Marcus Bagley and everyone had a lot of buzz around them. They never kind of lived up to the hype. He transfers to Kansas in the COVID years, kind of like, this is the last chance to salvage something out of my career. Has, a decent regular season, kind of as a steady pace for Kansas, but is nowhere near this 20 per game scorer that he's becoming in the tournament. And that's like,
they phased him out. That was weird.
Yeah,
they brought him right back for
that. I was wondering, we were kind of wondering, is he hurt? Like, did he get benched? But then when he came back, like, you watch him, he wasn't playing like a player who got benched and then like got let back in the game. Like, he came back in fine. It was weird what was going on, but that's gonna be a good one.
I think these teams are very similar, to be honest. They both can shoot the ball. Ryan Brown's one of the best shooters left in the tournament.
Yeah.
So was Colin Gillespie on the other side. So I think what we see here is
Christian Braun. Sorry.
Christian Braun, yeah. Ryan Brown.
I said Ryan Brown.
Yeah.
I was thinking baseball.
I think it's pronounced Brown. Christian. It's weird. It's spelled like that. Yeah, it's pronounced Brown. Christian Brown.
The announcers always say Braun. I refuse to pronounce that Brown.
I heard someone say Brown before, but
yeah, I mean, like, just so similar. They have big men. They have, good guard play. They have a good offense. This is going to come down to coaching and styles. And I don't think any team, I don't think these teams are going to go cold. These teams are going to go hot. I think we're just going to see two good offenses, and it's going to be probably a close one in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's easier for Nova to speed up than it is for most teams to slow down. And this is Bill Self. He's a very experienced coach. He's played Jay Wright at Villanova plenty of times before. See if he knows how to adjust to it.
I think Justin Moore is unfortunately the difference, because I would have picked Villanova because I think they've had a more impressive tournament run. I think they've played better. Kansas looked shaky against Creighton, looked shaky against Providence. First half against Miami, they were really poor. Nova's really played really well, except for the Houston game where everyone played bad. But I just think losing someone like Justin Moore is going to come back to bite you when you're playing someone as good as Kansas.
Hey, man, one thing I've seen about Nova, and I'm going to defend every time you guys try to go against Nova, but the one thing I've seen is, stay the course. And Kyle, you talked about it, the system. Yes, it's tough when you pluck somebody out of that system, but the good thing about it is that thing keeps going no matter who goes
I've
in.
seen the same brand of basketball
Yeah.
for 15 years now at Villanova since Scotty Reynolds.
It don't matter who's
It
there.
doesn't really matter.
And you just got to produce when you get put in that role. So that's what it's going to be about. But official picks, go ahead. You're not going to offend me.
Kansas.
That offended me.
This one,
Yeah,
that's funny.
hit
This
harder than I
one
thought
for
it was
me-
going to. Yeah.
Although with Coach K's luck, he'd play the team with the injured player.
Yeah.
But I'm still going Kansas.
That's true.
This one's tough for me. I think Nova's better coached. I think their team as a whole is better talent. Losing Justin Moore really evens the field. If they don't lose his, points per game, I'm gonna say, in the offense, like he's their second leading scorer. If they don't really lose that, if they find other ways to score the basketball, I'm taking Nova easy in this game. If it does really hurt them, this is going to be a grind battle because I don't know what iteration we're going to see. I'm going to lean with Nova because I think their path to success is pretty much as simple as that. Don't let the points per game lose. They're going to play good defense. They're going to have the system there. If guys can step up and make shots, I think Nova wins the game.
Yeah. Honestly, the last point that you guys kind of made about the churning of the system is a little illuminating for this game. And because there is such a question mark over Justin Moore and who's going to fill in and how they're going to perform, history would tell you that Nova's pretty good at finding that guy, plugging him in, next man up mentality, and those guys having minimal issues. So I'm going to say Villanova as to not upset James, and we'll see how the championship falls if I can continue riding
Both
with
national
Nova.
championships for Villanova, the key guy on that tournament run wasn't their best player.
Yeah.
It was Chris Jenkins,
And
then it was
Dante DiVincenzo.
Yep.
who was sixth man.
Made
coming
himself
off the
some
bench
money
doing it.
on
Yeah,
that
he
run.
made himself a whole lot of money. 3 Villanova to 1 Kansas. Let's all stamp this moment in Straight Facts history where Kyle picked Villanova to win the NCAA
Where we
tournament.
weren't all hating on James as well at a time. I
Yeah,
feel
great
like
day.
When your teams get brought up, mainly because they're not Philly teams, it's like
No, you do it out of spite.
I think
you do it out of spite.
I feel like Kyle got some spite in him.
now what?
Picking against my
Picking
teams.
against James's teams.
Not against your teams. No, this Villanova was
got
before I even knew who James was as a person.
No,
like
Jake-
this goes way back.
But so we're picking the champion too. Since
That's
we're
what I was gonna
just-
say.
All
That's
right.
where I was going. We're
Hold
not
on,
gonna be here before the champion.
I do
Go
think
for it.
I'm going to pick Villanova, but I think one thing we're overlooking a little bit is the foul trouble scenario. If Villanova stays out of foul trouble or whoever wins that scenario is going to win the game, you put Villanova in foul trouble, you put them in a situation they very much don't want to be in because now 2 got to come off that bench. And that you just I don't even want to imagine it. So people got to stay out of foul trouble, which is hard against Kansas because they play so tough and so physical. But I'm still gonna go Villanova. But yeah, we can pick the champion. So it'd
We
be
got to. We won't be.
so
here
so for you it'd be Duke versus Villanova or Duke versus Kansas.
I really hope Duke doesn't win, but they're going to because I hope they
Mm.
don't.
You're too much of a Philly sports fan.
Yeah, that's true. This is tough. Obviously, I'm only going to pick one team. If it's a championship that I picked, Duke, Nova, Duke. If you tell me Duke doesn't win the national championship, I'll say Nova wins the national championship.
Yeah,
So,
we gotta go.
not in that matchup because that sounded stupid.
So you-
Just
yeah.
in general, like if I knew Duke wasn't going to win, Nova would be the team I'd pick, but I got to pick Duke.
Yeah, you know me, I side with talent. Talent wins out. Duke has the most talent, and it blows. But there is the ending that the story writers have had in their drafts for months. Coach K walking off with the
Years.
national title as
They've-
Matt melts down over there at the thought of it.
Gonna hate it.
They've had 40 years to play in this ending. You know they got it
That's
right.
been in the works.
Well, we blow up endings over here. Okay. What ending you've had in your drafts and your notes, whatever is going on over there. We rewriting history. Sorry. Go Cats. Villanova's gonna take.
Because you think you'll get in. We got to get you on the bus for the parade, dude.
I'm getting on that bus,
Hey,
man.
we'd be on the bus.
I'm getting on that
Straight
bus. Man.
back shirt and all.
Flying the Straight Facts banner.
You got a reason to be on that bus. Like you could really get on that bus.
Yeah, like it'd be an event, and I'd host the event, right?
Low key, depends.
This is my lobby right
Like, you
now.
might have
Anyone
might
listening
have
from
to
Villanova,
ask,
this is
but
my lobby.
You got a better shot to get in that bus than 99.9% of people. Like you got
I
a
could
shot.
probably point on that bus during the parade and be like, you should not be on that bus. I should be on the
Here's
bus. There'd be
what's
somebody
really
on
low
there.
key, and this I don't want to get your hopes up even by saying this. All I'm saying is the guy who I do the games with for Penn has done it for 13 years, and he's got a couple championship rings.
I
on
knew
his
you were
finger.
gonna say the ring. I knew you were gonna
He
say
got
the
some
ring.
rings.
Oh,
That would be crazy.
I'll trade.
Yeah,
I'll
you
trade
think
a
they
seat.
give you a ring?
Kyle, I'll trade a seat on the bus for a ring. You could.
of
what?
course.
You could lock me
Do you
in
think
a
they
closet.
give you a ring?
Nah, I don't know.
I'm gonna host my butt off. I'm gonna give it everything that I got,
A little
man.
social post for.
This is the lobby for it all. But they got to win the championship first, man. More work to be done. But we're almost out of time for this episode of Straight Facts. It was a great one where you can get some shots up at the buzzer, as we always do. Does someone got something to say at the buzzer?
I just want to shout out in the Women's Champions League in soccer, there was the biggest crowd to ever go to a women's soccer game. 91,000 people watched Barcelona play Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals. Barcelona won to advance to the semis. And that's such a great sign for the growth of the sport because it's not just America where it's getting big. 91,000 people saw El Clasico in Camp Nou.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier this season, 86,000 people went to El Clasico for the men's. I think that's because ticket prices might have been different. But still.
But we want to give the props, though.
10 years ago, they could have been free. They would have gotten 10,000 people in there. So we love seeing the growth of the game because it's just going to make the sport better in the long run.
Go. Stat Man with the soccer update. We absolutely love it. And a good message behind it this time. I stand by it. You guys got something to say at the buzzer?
Yeah, I think Jake.
I will say all this is like to all the people who are like grew up playing a ton of video games. I've been hitting the gym recently, and I started to notice my entire life I have leaned on my left shoulder to play video games. I look up at the screen like this, lean on the left shoulder, and when I'm looking in the mirror, at the gym, I'm like, yo, what's going on? My entire left shoulder is like half an inch lower.
Yeah, that's called posture, Jake.
But it's only the
You
shoulder.
think that's
it's
why?
not like, no, it's definitely posture. But like, I remember it clicked into my mind. One of my friends had mentioned he had like a similar issue for similar reasons, and maybe I'm just going hypochondriac, but like my stuff's really messed up because of the way I played video games all my life. So now that's my new goal. That and I don't think I'm committing to it yet, but ATG knee over toes guy. I'm dunking in like 2 years. We're repairing the knees, dude. One day, I don't know when it's gonna be. We're gonna start back up the path. No knee pain.
I love you, buddy. So anyone who doesn't know, Jake got no ACLs.
None.
Jake got tore both of them. So it would be a very DeJuan Blair-esque situation
Crazy.
for him
You
to
see
come
me
back.
dunking a basketball, you better run. That means I'm on my like
I-
Bezos like world conquering level if I could dunk a basketball.
I had my year and a half when I thought I could. I was in the best shape of my life.
Kyle, we'll do the program together.
I was grabbing
ATG.
rim. I was grabbing rim easy, and I'm like, that's only like 5 more inches I need. It's tough to get.
Yeah. No, I know it's hard.
It's
It's hard
crazy.
to tell.
Kyle,
And I got
something-
like 6 inches on you.
you got something to say at the buzzer?
No, dude, I don't even have time to think anymore. I wish, I wish I had stuff, but I'm just working.
You have a
I'm
week
just-
to think of it, actually.
I'm just
Yeah.
working and doing sports. I got nothing to say at the buzzer, man.
There you go. I hear you. Here's all I'm gonna say. Phillies fans, they're doing it to us again. They're doing it to us again.
Them being
The Phillies.
the Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia Phillies are doing it to us again. We were all ready to jump ship. We're all ready to give up on them. Then they go and make the moves that we're all asking them to make, and they go and get some great help in their lineup, Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber. And then all three of them are producing. They're all hitting home runs in spring training. It's all looking great right now. And I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee, we start the season with the Oakland A's at home in a 3-game series. We'll probably sweep them in dominant fashion. Everyone will get, employed in the Phillies. They'll be the hottest team in the first
Radio
month of the
talking
baseball
about
season. Oh, yeah, it'll be crazy. Then June will hit. Then July will hit. And then they'll tank, and then magically we'll look up in August. We'll be fighting for our life in the NL East. And who knows if we'll make the playoffs. But all I got to say is, I feel myself going down the same path of hurt that I've gone down for the past 2 or 3 years. And I told myself I wasn't going to do it. And guys, for some reason, I'm about to charge straight ahead in that path. I don't know if anybody else is with me, but I'm about to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just love the route they took where, the past 3 years, it's been like, oh, this team needs pitching and they can compete. This team needs pitching and they compete. Well, how about we're just going to hit?
Yeah,
as
we're
much as
going to
possible.
mangle everything.
Screw pitching.
Yeah.
We're going to give up 10 runs. We don't care. We're
Yeah,
just
just
going to hit
score- yeah.
everything. We're going to bring in all
Give
these
up 10,
big
that's
hitters.
fine. Score 11. That's the mantra.
It's
Win's
so
a win.
funny the route they've taken on this. And, this one I don't understand either. The number one prospect in the Phillies organization is a pitcher. We haven't given, any prospect shots over this stretch in the past 3 years.
Mhm.
And, I know he's a little young. I forget his name, which is bad
Nice.
of me. But, let's try to give some guys shots this year. Because I think now that we actually do have a team, we're going to, be able to hit. We're going to win baseball games.
No, I only
Let's
need
try
you
to
out
be
there if you
good,
prove
good.
it. I
No
don't
one-
want experiments out there. I need you out there if you prove it to me.
Aaron Nola aside, they just do not
Well,
produce.
Stott's the 2 prospect, and Stott's going to play this year.
No.
We'll see.
Bryce
It's a
Stott's been great.
long season to find
You
these
can
things
say
out.
that again.
Can I give a quick PSA?
Of course.
Friday is April Fool's Day. It's the most dangerous day of the year to be a sports fan on Twitter.
Oh,
Just
God.
be careful out there.
Ballsack Sports, but yeah, they about to have a
Oh
crazy
my
one.
God.
All right, we'll end it right there. This is all the time we have for this episode of Straight Facts Podcast. It was a good one. Shout out to the Up On Game Network for all they do for us. Shout out to my guys, man. Love we're all in studio. Jake Galley, Kyle Sierick, Stat Matt Robinson. I'm James Jackson. These have been the facts.
Straight up.